Hello everyone, how are you guys doing? Are you good? How's this side doing? Are you good? How's that side doing? Are you good? Awesome, thank you so much for your patience. I'm Dr. Avi. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Where's my clicker gone? It's over here. Well, today is a really, really exciting day. In fact, this is the most important session of the entire conference. Were you briefed on that? Yeah, you did, right? Congratulations. Not everyone got the news, obviously, but I'm so excited to be here today. As these pictures show, I actually hail from two cities. I live both in Sydney and Kuala Lumpur, which means I have a bit of a split personality. Sometimes when I'm having breakfast, I'm having Vegemite on toast, and other times I'm having nasi lemak. Sometimes I say, good day, mate, and sometimes I say, how are you, la? Right? It's a little bit confusing, but that makes me a little bit unique. But the other thing that makes me a little bit unique is that I actually spend my life, the last 20 years of my life, working with CEOs, founders, and business owners such as yourself to help grow revenue, inspire your teams, and build yourselves up as leaders. How many people here want to grow their revenue in their business? Put your hands up. Awesome. Wow, you're in the right room. And one of the unique things about what I do is this other dual combo of integrating neuroscience, which is how your brain works, with artificial intelligence, which is the new digital brain. And so right now, I'll be sharing with you some of the secrets that I've learned from having worked with over 200 organizations all around the world. Would that be of interest?
Yes.
Very good. But Singapore, I have a sad story to tell you. You see, in between my entire career, I actually had a little period that I did spend in Singapore. You see, when I grew up in Malaysia, I was the top student in my school. And as a result of being the top student in my school, I was offered a scholarship. This scholarship was called the ASEAN Scholarship. Anyone ever heard of ASEAN?
Yes.
Yeah. I was offered the ASEAN Scholarship and was given a fully paid scholarship to come and study in the top college in Singapore called Raffles Junior College. I was super excited. I'm going to be hanging out with the elite. I'm going to be learning from the smartest guys in the country. This is the school where all the prime ministers went. That's what I was told. But the truth was, when I arrived, I was 4 months late. I was behind everybody else. And on my first day in class, I came in, I sat at the back, and there was this complex algebra being taught on the blackboards. Yes, we had blackboards back then. And there were two students in front of me, they were just not paying attention. They were reading their medical anatomy textbooks for university. I was like, what the hell? When the teacher started asking them questions, they would just look up from their textbooks and just go, blah, 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 get the answers right, and then go back to reading the medical anatomy textbooks. And I said, what's going on here? I later found out that these two students were part of something called the GEP, the Gifted Education Program, which means these students, as part of Singapore education, are actually doing the curriculum 2 years ahead of everybody else. They were on this accelerated growth pathway that put them ahead of everybody else in that school and in that country. Nevertheless, I tried to catch up with these students. I wanted to be top boy again, but I could never do it. These guys were too smart, they were better than me, and they were 4 months ahead of me in the curriculum. I struggled. I did not do well in that whole period in college. I became lonely, I became depressed, and I actually was one of the toughest periods of my life. Has anyone been in that situation where you feel like you're behind everybody else in your career and you can't catch up and it's sad? Put your hands up if you've ever been like that. Thank you for your honesty. I vowed after that period that I will never be behind in my life again. I will make sure that everything I learn will help me accelerate, if not equal, then ahead of everybody else, and never go through this negative mental experience ever again. And so for the rest of my life, I actually went from studying in the UK, becoming a doctor, successfully doing that, doing an MBA, getting into business, becoming the chief of staff for Pfizer. Anyone heard of the company called Pfizer? Yeah, I was chief of staff for Pfizer, helped that company grow to over $1 billion in revenue in Australia, built up my own companies, 8 companies over the last few years, impacted about 30,000 lives. During COVID, did some work on decision intelligence that earned an award beyond the call of duty during COVID-19 from the global body, and subsequently, thank you, subsequently have impacted over 200 organizations all around the world in leadership and personal development. So I never looked back from that. But the reason I'm sharing with you this is not to show off. The reason I'm sharing with you this is to show that everything I'm going to talk to you about today, I've done myself, and it works. Does that make sense? And so what did I learn? I learned that in order for me to have this accelerated growth pathway, I had to learn from the best CEOs in the world. I did not want to learn from the mediocre teachers, only the best. And one interesting story happened, and that was this. A few years ago, actually this is going back 20 years ago, the two top CEOs in the world were Bill Gates and Warren Buffett. These were the two richest men in the world. And one day they were having dinner at Bill Gates' house. In fact, it's actually Bill Gates' mom that was cooking for them. And she actually asked both Bill and Warren, she said, both of you, you're the most successful people in the world. What's the one factor that has contributed to your success or has led to your success? The interesting thing was, both Bill and Warren said exactly the same thing. One word. What do you think that answer was? Just one word.
Clarity.
Shout it out, come on. Clarity, what else? Curiosity, what else?
Mothers.
What?
Mothers.
Mothers, yes, that's a good one. What else? Belief. Any other thoughts? Come on, you guys speak about the habits of success. What's the one thing that the two best leaders in the world at the time said? Yes. They both said this word, focus. Focus. And I know you've heard it recently. Both of them said the secret of their success was focus. So I spent many years thinking out, what do they mean by focus? Because focus could mean many things. It could mean what you do. It could mean how you do it. It could mean who you hang out with. It could mean what career path you choose. Focus can mean many things. And so I studied the science of focus to try and figure out exactly what that is to success. If that is the number one accelerator of growth and success, I want to know how to do it. And what I learned is that focus really means this. Focus is that skill and ability to prioritize high-value decisions, but also deprioritize and delegate low-value decisions. And the thing about these people who are the most successful people in the world is that they're able to do it frequently. They're constantly doing it all the time. Their brains are constantly high-value prioritizing and low-value deprioritizing all the time. And that is the key to the most successful people in the world. And so there's been further studies around this and further science around this. Studies by Bain have showed, published by Harvard, that there's a 95% correlation between your decision effectiveness and your financial performance. Let me say that again. There is a 95% correlation between your decision effectiveness and your financial performance. That means how well you make decisions determines how rich you are and how well your business is performing. Does that make sense? Very, very high correlation. This is no bullshit. This is all facts and studies. So the only question you should be asking yourself every day in your business, as a speaker, as a consultant, as a business owner, as a CEO, is how do I focus and optimize my decisions for faster growth? That is the one skill you need to have above all. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. How many people in the room want to grow their financials by about at least 10 times in the next 10 years? Who's ambitious like that? Let me see. Hands up over here, hands up over there. Okay, a few people actually don't want that. That's fine. I totally respect the spiritual people in the house. You're my crowd. But for everybody else, you want to grow and you want to grow as fast as possible. But here's some of the challenges. So when I work, again, I've worked with about several thousand CEOs and senior leaders around the world now. There are three big battles every CEO fights. The first one is this. Studies have shown that the average CEO and business owner wastes about 2.4 hours a day on low-value actions. It means actions you can delegate, pass on to somebody else, checking your Facebook, checking your LinkedIn, having conversations that you shouldn't be having, about 2.4 hours a day. right? About 15% of your time is a complete waste, to be quite honest with you. Okay? The second problem is what's called decision distress. And this is many business owners make decisions that they later realize were not the best decisions for their financial growth. About 85% of people in CEO or business leader positions admit to this. And finally, that issue that I described before, about 60% of business leaders feel lonely or have mental health issues. So the CEOs that I coach, I don't just coach them on strategy, I don't just coach them on their personal development and performance, I also coach them on their emotional resilience. Because that's a very big part of the success and holding up high-performing teams. The other reason why this is really difficult is because the human mind makes 35,000 decisions every day. Your brain is making 35,000 decisions every day. Do I come to Dr. Avi's session? Do I not come to Dr. Avi's session? Do I come to Dr. Avi's session and just look at the laptop or check my phone? What color do I wear today? What perfume do I wear today? Which handbag do I carry today? These are all decisions that are part of the 35,000 your brain is making. But the bigger challenge is that the average business now, the average company now, has 400 data sources to make those decisions. Your accounting system, your emails, your Google Calendar, your Facebook, all these things that we talked about that could be distractions. Some of these you actually need to make decisions. And these inputs are getting bigger and bigger. And from all of that, you have to decide for your business, am I going to work on strategy? And I'm going to work on recruiting talent? And am I going to work on budgeting? Am I going to work on, pick one, learning something? These are all the actions you have to take to build your business. Can you see how difficult it is? It's really complex. It's harder than you think. And so the big question is, how do I focus based on this? Now, the answer came to me when I was actually speaking at the World Congress in the US about 10 years ago. And when I was speaking at that conference, I had the head of neuroscience of a very large military organization come up to me after the talk. And he said, Dr. Avi, I've got a problem. I work for such and such US military organization. He said, we've got a big problem. I said, what's your problem? He said, Dr. Avi, in my military organization, we have the budget for all the technology, all the AI, all the missiles that we need and we could ever buy. We have all of that available to us right now. This is 10 years ago. And I said, fine, so what's the problem? He said, the problem is that we can't optimize the minds of the soldiers to figure out which technology and which action to take because there's so many of them right now. Does that make sense? So even when you have all this technology, this is 10 years ago, right? Are you feeling it now? Yeah. They were having that problem back then. And he said, what do we do about that? And so the answer really came to the fact that, if we fast forward to the future, I'm a big fan of Marvel and sci-fi. We fast forward to the future, I came across Iron Man. Anyone know the character Iron Man? Yeah, a few of you love Iron Man. Somebody, I love him. Well, the key about Iron Man, which aroused my curiosity, is that the character inside Iron Man is a chap called Tony Stark. And what's Tony Stark's job? He's a CEO. And the thing about Tony Stark is that he would actually ask questions of his AI, Jarvis, which would not only give him information about what to do next, but he would also plug in information from his data sources. What was once science fiction is now a reality. We have that on our fingertips right now. Every single one of you as business owners and CEOs. And so the critical skill for success in today's business, in today's world, is what I call NAIL, Neuroscience and AI Enhanced Leadership. You've got to be able to optimize your brain as well as optimize AI if you want to grow in today's world. If you want to compete in today's world, this is the one thing to succeed. And ever since we've been doing that many years ago, this work has now been published in Harvard Business Review and many other most prestigious business magazines in the world. And so what is step one? It's a two-part methodology. It's going to be very simple. I know lots of you like practical exercises, and so that's what we're going to do today. Does that sound cool?
Yes.
Excellent. So step one is called Neurofocus. Neurofocus is this skill of being able to focus your mind and prioritize decisions. We're going to make this very, very practical for you right now. And so all of you today, right now, are thinking about what opportunities or what projects do I need to be working on? What business problems do I have to work on? What challenges do I have in my work today? Your brain is processing it in three big ways. This is a neuroscience bit, okay? Your brain, the neocortex of your brain, and again, being a doctor by background, is processing the facts, the numbers, and all these different sort of factual information around the problem. So if I say to you tomorrow, Sanjay, I'd like to invite you to a speaking gig in China and pay you $50,000. Okay? Sanjay's brain will be going, ooh, $50,000, that's great, that sounds like really high revenue. Ooh, what's the cost of travel? What's the cost of that going to look like? What are the facts and information behind this problem? At the same time, your limbic system of your brain is processing the emotion. By the way, all your customers are doing this as well. So if you're in business, your customers are processing the facts, they're processing the emotions. How excited do you feel? How angry do you feel about going to China to do this trip? And finally, the brainstem is the survival instincts, right? The brainstem is going, am I going to be safe? Your fight and flight system is part of the brainstem, and that's going to be going, how much risk is involved in this project? All this is growing through your brain, and you ultimately make a profit and loss-making decision. Sanjay, you're going to go to China for $50,000? Yes. Yeah, excellent. Okay, so that could be a growth-making decision, or if it ends up being very expensive and so on, you might lose something over there. People who mastered this skill, some of the top business leaders in the world, use this so much. Steve Jobs, everyone remember Steve Jobs? Yep, the founder of Apple. He was so adamant about applying this skill on a day-to-day basis. Look at what he wore every day for 10 years plus. Can you see that? Was it a fashion statement? No. What was he trying to do? He was trying to simplify his thought process first thing in the morning. He was optimizing what's called his decision capacity. So he wouldn't be wasting time on choosing different clothes, and so his mind would be used on improving what? His products, his services, his customer interaction, correct? This is how much discipline you applied. I looked at all of you today. How many of you are wearing different clothes today? Oh, that's going to change, isn't it? Right? But that's how much the best, the most successful people in the world apply in order to achieve the biggest growth. That's what it takes. Okay, we're going to go to a video right now of Kevin O'Leary, one of the people that worked with Steve Jobs and other successful leaders. So can we play the video, Mark? Thank you.
Those of you that will be successful in here will develop the ability to distinguish signal from noise. The distractions are called noise, and the signal is what your mandate is, whatever that is. I worked for Steve Jobs years ago developing all his educational software. And we would meet every quarter to determine development budgets. Steve was not a very nice guy. I remember one specific day in Cupertino in the old office, and I was there with my team, and he used to berate everybody. It was brutal. And one of my marketing team said, you know, Steve, before we do the next version of Oregon Trail, which is going to cost $12 million to put out next quarter, of which you're going to have to pay at least 8 of it, we want to do some market research about the feature sets with teachers in 110,000 schools in America. And he went out of his mind. He said, they don't know what they want until I tell them what they want. I will decide what they want, and only I will decide. I mean, I couldn't take it anymore. I said, Steve, when you say that, you don't respect anybody in this room. And he said, are we making money? Are we growing share? Am I dominating in schools? Yes or no? That's true, Steve. He said, well, shut up, and let's just stay focused. That's 85% signal right now. Doesn't care what you think, doesn't give a damn, and is so focused on delivering results and how wildly successful he was. The modern day example of him, and the only man on earth that is 100% signal, is Elon Musk. He will walk away from a conversation if he doesn't feel he's gaining any useful information. He is 100% focused on signal, and look at what he's achieved, and he's not even finished yet. The ones of you that will be successful.
Okay, great. So if I ignore any of you for the rest of this conference, I apologize, but you'll know why, right? Just kidding. So if we move on to the next slide, one of the things about the leaders that they talk about, they are so absolutely brutal about where they spend every single minute and who they spend that time with. Because as soon as I start getting garbage in from these signals, I'm wasting my time, right? Another person is, he talked about Elon Musk. Now, Elon Musk, his success and his focus is proven, right? He built up just one company, it's Tesla. We'll talk about this in a sec. Company Tesla. He grew Tesla to over $1.2 trillion in market cap. The combination, the value of his company was worth more than his next 10 competitors in the automotive industry. In 20 years, that's what he did. Just with absolute focus. Isn't that interesting? Yeah. But the thing that's actually also interesting is look what happened when he lost focus. When he started working on Doge recently and started working in the government, look what happened to Tesla. Do you see what happened?
Plummeted.
It plummeted. Its share price actually dropped by half in value. As a result, clearly, the root cause, losing focus. It's clear proof that this stuff matters the most. And so, if we think, so what we're going to do now is going to go to quick activity around how you do this. This first step of Neurofocus is around how do you get to your high priority problem and high priority opportunity in your day right now. It's going to take you 60 seconds. Are you interested? Yes. Okay, let's do that. All this stuff, it's got to be done quick because CEOs are very busy. So just think about this in your mind right now, right? You've got many opportunities you've got to work on today. You've got high priority problems that you've got to solve today, but you're also trying to think what you really want, because you're here for business. What am I going to do that's actually going to make me the most money? Fair? So what I'd like to invite you to do is just participate in this little 60-second Neurofocus exercise. And I'm asking you to, if you can just sit up on your chairs, just sit up straight, feet on the ground, back to the chair, okay? And I'm going to invite you in a minute, or less than a minute, to just close your eyes and participate in the breathing exercise. Is that okay? And as you do that, what's going to go through your mind is some of the problems, the situations, the opportunities, right? And you're going to want to just ask yourself what's going to be the highest priority for you to work on. Is that cool? Okay. 3, 2, 1, let's just drop in and just close your eyes. And I'm just going to invite you to just observe your breathing. Okay? Observe your breathing in and out and in and out and in and out. Now, as you feel your awareness in your mind, just allow yourself to think through and ask yourself, what's one of my biggest problems or opportunities today? What will help me get to my highest growth and highest achievement in my work and in my business? And gently just breathe that in and observe your thoughts. And allow yourself a moment to experience whatever comes to your mind. And allow the tension from your shoulders to just disappear and just be in the moment. Whatever pops up, just allow that to pop up. And we're going to gradually come back into the room in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Gradually open your eyes. Very good. Whatever's popped into your mind, just quickly write it down. Write it down or type it into your phone. Whatever it might be, even if it's a few things, even if it's a situation, even if it's a mumbling of thoughts, quickly write that in. Now, as that's coming through to you, and you're typing that in, there is a war going on in the world right now. There is a battle. This battle is not the war between the Middle East, the war in Ukraine, or the war between US and China. This war is going on in the minds of CEOs and business owners all around the world. But it is a silent war. And the question, the battle in the minds of a lot of these CEOs is this. When making a decision, do I now trust my own mind or do I now trust the machine? This is only going to get worse unless we figure out how to resolve it. Which brings us to nail step 2. Whatever is coming from our minds at the moment, we now have the opportunity to explore how AI can be used to help solve that. I call this prompt intelligence. This is AI optimized decision making to accelerate growth. Again, this is a very quick exercise. So think back of the opportunity and the problem that you just wrote down, okay? Think back that you're going to be using your mind to make decisions. That's what Steve Jobs did. That's what Bill Gates did. That's what Warren Buffett did. But today, there's a very different way of doing it and to do it faster. And that is by using what I call prompt intelligence or using AI tools to help you make that decision. It is inevitable that the future Bill Gates, the future Warren Buffett will be doing this and has already been doing this to achieve their growth. We've done this, we've helped customers, we've helped our clients. One CEO, Steve Rowe, a general manager of an organization called Legend, we helped him actually integrate algorithm-generated priorities with human decisions. 32% were from the technology, 68% were from humans. He applied it. He found that actually his team ended up getting more engaged as a result of this combined approach. But not only that, in his business, after 12 months, they actually found profit per employee increased by 35%. Anyone like 35% improvement in profit? Put your hands up. Business people? Yep, awesome. How did that happen? Well, he found that when you actually combine that approach, and he found that employees became more motivated and more engaged, the profit of the company also improved very, very significantly. And we have other case studies like this as well. So we don't just talk about this, we actually do it. We published this in a book called People Strategy and Workforce Optimization, which, as mentioned earlier, was endorsed by Deepak Chopra. This is my first book. Deepak Chopra, author of 90 books and 23 New York Times bestsellers, endorsed the work, along with other business leaders like Mr. Maha Sinnathamby, Australia's top richest 100 rich list, and Dave Ulrich, the father of modern HR. So the methodology works and is validated, which brings us to nail step 2. This is a very exciting step, because for those of you who've thought about your problems and opportunities, now you have the opportunity to work with your AI tool of choice to actually help you figure out what to do next. It's not just all about avoiding distractions and focus. It's also about then deciding, how do I act on it and solve that problem? Because I've been working on this for 10 years, over the last few years, I've also been developing my own AI. It's an AI clone known as Dr. Avi ZeroCEO, right? And this Dr. Avi ZeroCEO is basically a companion for CEOs to make decisions faster, more intelligently than anybody else on the planet. Would you be interested in testing it out?
Yes.
Excellent, very good. So what I'm going to do is, on my phone, it actually speaks 25 languages. Malay, Chinese, Tamil, English, Vietnamese, Greek, so on and so forth, right? So many people can use it. And all I need to do is, when I'm confronted with a situation, actually talk to ZeroCEO and actually figure out what that answer is, right? I'm just going to do a very quick demo because we're almost out of time. And can I ask someone to volunteer? What was the high priority problem or situation that you came up with earlier?
Okay, so one of them is actually I have a few opportunities now, and I'm not too sure which one to accept in terms of the work, because I'm freelancing now. One is whether I go into corporate specialist, as a corporate specialist on operation excellence, or on the other hand, working more with individuals in terms of building their mental wellness, well-being, and with Japanese concepts, because I have a lot of experiences in Japan. So these two is a bit, it may interact, but there are also, I think, it sort of diverts as well. So
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Is that just the two choices that you have? Or?
yeah, and also I'm also working with a friend who is also developing something related to AI, which is an AI bot
Okay.
to actually help trainers and coaches develop AI bots in terms of helping them with the next stage of their training and coaching, the accountability part, the
Okay.
daily reminders and so on. So many things currently.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you have a lot of challenges figuring out where to spend your time. On all. Anyone else can resonate with that sort of thing? Yeah. Lots of opportunities, not sure what to choose. Okay. So Jeannie, right? Yeah. Okay. So we're going to call Dr. Avi, ZeroCEO, on the phone. Okay. And try and figure it out.
Okay.
Okay. How long have you had this problem? I sound like a doctor, right?
Okay. For
Hi, ready to tackle that work challenge you had in mind? Or is there something else you'd like to dive into today?
Okay. Hi, ZeroCEO. I'm just with Jeannie at the moment, and she's got a number of challenges she's trying to work through. So she's got one opportunity working with corporate enterprise on wellness,
on operational excellence.
operational excellence,
Yeah.
and so on. A second opportunity.
Second opportunity is working with a Japanese individual, helping her together with growing her wellness business more in Japan.
Second
and from
opportunity
Japan,
is
bringing
growing
it
a
over to this part of
wellness
the
business, and the third one.
world. Is slightly off, which is related to AI, using AI bot to help coaches and trainers.
And the third one is using an AI bot to help coaches and trainers. She's not sure what to decide. Have you got any thoughts or recommendations on how she should start thinking about this?
Jenny's got 3 fascinating opportunities here, and each one has its own unique potential. First, the corporate wellness and operational excellence angle is a strong play if she's looking for scale and credibility. Enterprises are increasingly investing in wellness as a strategic priority, especially post-pandemic, and operational excellence ties directly to measurable ROI, something corporate decision makers love. Second, the collaboration with the Japanese individual to grow a wellness business is more niche, but could be deeply rewarding if it aligns with Jenny's personal passion and long-term vision. It's also an opportunity to tap into a market that values holistic approaches, which could differentiate her offerings. Lastly, the AI bot for coaches and trainers is exciting, but requires a clear understanding of the tech landscape and a strong go-to-market strategy. If she's not already tech-savvy, this could be a steep learning curve. I'd recommend she starts by clarifying her priorities. Is she looking for immediate revenue, long-term impact, or personal fulfillment? Once she knows her why, the what becomes clearer. Does that resonate with her current thinking?
Does that resonate, Jeannie?
Yeah.
It does. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
The why part. Okay. Very good. Can you see how that works? Was that cool?
Yes.
Yeah. And so, how long have you been dealing with that problem? Many months now?
Yeah, few
Trying to
months.
figure it?
Just
Few months?
actually
Yeah.
recently, this
Okay.
year,
This year.
this year,
Okay,
yeah.
the whole year. Okay, it's about 6 months. How long did this take? Like 2 minutes, right? So the whole nail technique, you can solve some of the biggest challenges in like 3 minutes if you really apply it. Isn't that amazing? We shouldn't have to be stuck with all these decisions. And that's the thing about the most successful people on the planet. They don't get stuck with these decisions, and now you don't have to either. Does that make sense? Cool, excellent. So in order to conclude, one of the things that hopefully you've now realized that in the past, the fastest businesses were developed and grown by leaders who just made the best human decisions. Today, business leaders, the fastest growth is coming from business leaders who are optimizing their mind, but also using AI to make those decisions, a combined approach. But the interesting thing is, tomorrow, the fastest growth will come from CEOs and teams that use Nail at scale. That means not only will they use it, all their team members will also be using this. And that's how you get the biggest growth. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm on a mission to help 1 million leaders on the planet grow for a better tomorrow. Because I truly believe, from all I experience working with CEOs, founders, and business owners like yourself, that when you have the ability to focus and actually make the best decisions for yourself, your revenue, and your business growth, you will make a greater impact, not only on your life, but also on the lives of others, and change the world. And so I truly wish this for you, and I want to thank you for your time and your attention. Give yourselves a round of applause. I look forward to connecting with you for the rest of the conference. Thank you so much, Singapore.
Thank you, Dr. Avi.
Thank you.